part, and then I'm going to turn off my video so that you can see the full screen. Okay, welcome to our weekly Food and Finance Friday webinar. Each week we're presenting on different financial topics that impact you. So my name is Rachel Gustafson, and today I have the pleasure of being joined by Jeff Klein of Smart Health. We're going to be guiding you through our Medicare webinar today. So we're going to start off just by sharing a little bit about who we are. I'm a certified financial planner at Financial Investment Team. I've been in finance now for over 8 years. Something that I'm really passionate about is financial education. So empowering you to make more informed decisions, which is one of the reasons we set up these weekly webinars. My role as a financial planner is really helping my clients create customized plans to achieve their dreams. No matter your financial situation, you deserve peace of mind. Everyone deserves peace of mind in their finances. Just a little bit about me. So now I'm going to let Jeff share just a little bit about him. Go ahead, Jeff.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me. My name is Jeff Klein with Smart Health. I'm a health and life insurance agent. I offer Medicare individual and group plans. Just reading off the screen here, just co-founded Smart Health in 2001. I'm now the sole owner of Smart Health, and I've been doing this for 25 years. And so I started back when I was 27, just selling individual health insurance plans for one company, driving all over Portland, where you could go from Aloha to Gresham in 30 minutes. So things have changed a little bit, and now I offer a variety of products to fit all my clients' specific needs. So I'm excited to talk about Medicare today. Just in a few minutes, to be able to simplify the whole process for you. Thanks, Rachel.
Thanks, Jeff. I've been working with Jeff and have known Jeff for years now, and he is a joy to work with and does a really great job simplifying the Medicare process and understanding it. So I thought he would be a great ally to have on the call today to help you all. So without further ado, Medicare. Our goal for today's webinar is to break down some of the complexity surrounding it and give you some actionable tips to get ready. So first, we're going to start with a poll question I'm going to pop up on your screen. And it's just giving us an idea of who is on the call today. The question is, when are you planning to apply for Medicare? Have you already applied? Is it within the next couple of months, in the next year, or maybe it's over a year? Maybe you're here because you're doing some planning for when that time comes. So I'm going to give you just a minute to answer that question. Okay, looks like about half of us have already applied and half of us in over a year. Great. So regardless of when you are applying, you will find today's information valuable. So to get us started, Jeff is going to start by defining the parts of Medicare.
All right, so today, like Rachel had mentioned, we're going to talk about the parts of Medicare. Sometimes the names of the parts, the letters can be confusing. And again, my job is just to make it simplify the process and understanding of the parts so that you can make an informed choice. So the way I like to think about it is Part A is the hospital. I'd like to think of it from big to small. They start with the big parts and go to the smaller parts. Part A is hospital insurance, helps cover all the inpatient hospital stays, skilled nursing care, hospice care, home health care. And then the next section, a little bit smaller, just in your mind, just think, then if I have hospital stays I want to cover, what about the doctors? The Part B, medical insurance, is covering your doctors in the hospital and outside the hospital. So it's inpatient and outpatient, home health care, durable medical equipment such as wheelchairs, the hospital beds when you're in the hospital, and then your vaccinations and shots and what they call well care visits. So that's what they call original Medicare, Part A and B. We're going to talk about Part C a little bit later, which is the Med Advantage plans, but we'll get to that later. So what is not included in Parts A and B when you first originally sign up for Medicare, you typically sign up for A and B, and then you get the choice of signing up for other programs. Part D is prescription drug programs, also sometimes referred to PDPs, and that includes the prescriptions and is not run by the federal government. The federal government and Medicare gives you guidelines, gives the companies guidelines that they have to follow so that the max out of pocket is the same with each company. What varies is sometimes the prescriptions that are covered, or possibly what they call their formularies are different, where one company might consider a prescription tier 2, where it's only a $10 copayment, and another company considers it tier 3, where it's a $50 copayment or something like that. So it's important that you know that when you do apply for Medicare, that if you don't join Part D prescription plan, if it's not part of your Med Advantage plan, or you don't sign up for an individual Part D plan, that there's a 1% charge when you do join later per month. So what they do is they take the average of a prescription drug program in the country and take 1% of that and add it every month for that you don't have a prescription drug program. So it is important to make sure that you look at that and weigh your choices and not go without one typically. So then the next sounds like most people have enrolled, but your initial enrollment period is a 7-month period where it's 3 months before your birthday, your birth month, and 3 months after your birthday. And what's important about that is that it's the first time you can sign up for Medicare, and also they are not asking any health questions. So all you have to do is apply, and you will be accepted for those plans. One important note is that if your birthday is on the first of the month, you can sign up for the first of the month or the month prior to your birthday. So that's one exception there. And then when you do sign up, if you want to sign up at the beginning of your initial enrollment period, because it takes 3 to 4 weeks to get your card for Parts A and B. And when you do sign up, if you're only signing up for Medicare and not Social Security, you can do it online. It takes about 5 minutes. And next part is, I think that's it as far as the initial enrollment period. Rachel, we can go to the next slide. So looking at this slide, I'm actually going to start from the bottom because October comes before January. It makes more sense to start there. So what they call your Medicare open enrollment period goes from October 15th to December 7th. So every year you can make some changes to your Medicare program. So if you're on original Medicare, which is Parts A and B, or you're on Med Advantage, which we're going to talk about in great detail at the end of the presentation, is Part C, you can jump from one Medicare Advantage plan to another, or you can change from a original Medicare plan to Medicare Advantage plan. And this is during this period from October 15th to December 7th, and it's called Medicare Open Enrollment Period. You'll hear a lot about it on a lot of ads and such coming out, just so you know what that's all about. And that allows you to make those changes without any health checks. So no matter what your health is, you can change to those plans. Then working our way up, October 1st, you can start comparing plans. You just can't turn in any applications or paperwork until the 15th. Then what they have is from January 1st to March 31st, what happens is you're able to make a change once during this period. If you join one Medicare Advantage plan and don't like it and you want to switch to another, you can do that. Or if you join a Medicare Advantage plan and need to switch back to original Medicare and a standalone prescription drug program, you can do that. And the reason for that is they don't want you to be stuck on a plan that you thought was going to work for you, find out your doctor's not on it when you switch to a Medicare Advantage plan, or you're unhappy with the full network of doctors or just the pharmacy. They just don't want you to be stuck on a plan that you're not happy with for a full year. So it's sort of just a take back. You try a plan out and realize it's not working for you. And then at the very top of the screen just talks about January 1st. All plans make changes every year. All those changes you're informed about during those first, starting in October, and then they take effect January 1st. So if there's rate increases, lately it's just been an increase in coverage. So all the plans have been increasing their coverage for Med Advantage plans, and that all just takes place January 1. I think we're done with that slide.
Great. Thank you, Jeff. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Medicare premiums, and I'm also going to talk about how Medicare works with your Social Security if you choose to have Social Security pay your Medicare premiums. So before we dig into premiums a little bit, I do want to pop up another question for y'all. And it is coming towards you here in just a second. If I retire at age 62, will I be eligible for Medicare? Just take a moment to answer that. Great, looks like we knew the answer to that question. No, you must wait until you are 65 to become eligible for Medicare, unless you're younger and qualify because of a disability. Okay, Medicare premiums. So base Part B that Jeff had just mentioned, the premium for that is $144.60 per month. Now, some people will pay more due to what we call the IRMAA, the IRMAA, which we're going to talk about in a little more detail here shortly. So how does Medicare affect your Social Security check if you choose to have your premiums paid out of it? So if you're 65 or older and you've enrolled in Medicare, your Part B monthly premiums will be deducted from your Social Security check. So as you can see in this example, if you claim early, and we'll go through it, your Medicare Part B will always eat up a larger percentage of your benefit than if you wait until full retirement age or later. So in this example, in 2020, Part B premium, like I mentioned, $144.60. Now we're assuming that you have a PIA, which is your primary insurance amount. This is your monthly benefit that you receive from Social Security, is $2,600 at full retirement age. And in this assumption, full retirement age is 67. So at 67, you start taking Social Security, your benefit is going to be this $2,600. Now, if you claim your Social Security at age 62, your benefit is reduced. You're only going to receive 70% of your benefit. So that's going to equate to $1,820. Part B is going to eat up 8% of your check. If you claimed at 67, which is your full retirement age, where you're going to get 100% of that 2,600, then Part B is going to eat up 5.5% of your check. Now, if you choose to delay taking Social Security and you claim at age 70, you're receiving a full Social Security benefit of 124%, which equates to this $3,224 monthly. Then Part B is only taking up 4% of your Social Security check. We're going to talk a little bit more about high income households and how they have some additional charges and brackets to look at. But for this example, we're just looking at $2,600 is the PIA, Your full retirement age is 67. And if you claim early, then your Medicare premium is going to eat up a little bit more of your check. So in this slide, we're going to talk about the cost of living adjustment that Social Security gives you each year to keep up with inflation and the cost of living rising. So for 2020, that was 1.6% every year. They decide what that's going to be, and we find out near the end of the year what it's going to be for the following year. So this year it's 1.6%. If you're not claiming Social Security right now, your check is still growing at that 1.6%. And if you are claiming, you also get it. So here's an example of someone who has an $800 benefit, and that 1.6% COLA, cost of living adjustment for short, is going to be $1,280. So their benefit's going to go up $812.80. And the higher your benefit each month, the bigger the cost of living adjustment that you're going to feel. So if you max out at $3,300, which is the max out for Social Security right now, you'll get a $52.80 increase. But here's the kicker. If you're enrolled in Medicare and you're having your Medicare premium taken out of your Social Security check, you may not see this much of an increase. That's because part of your COLA may be absorbed by the Medicare premiums. We'll talk about Medicare premiums a little bit more here in a few minutes, but just know that we get asked this a lot. Well, my Social Security check never increased for that COLA. Well, it's probably because your Medicare premiums ate it up. So hold harmless provision. If you are on Social Security and you have your Medicare Part B premium deducted from your Social Security benefit, there is a hold harmless provision that keeps your check from going down if the Social Security cost of living adjustment doesn't cover the rise in the Part B premium. So for example, in 2017, the premium jumped for Medicare from $121.80 to $134. That was a 10% increase. But the Social Security cost of living adjustment was only 0.3%. The few dollars that people got for their COLA didn't cover the premium increase. So their premium was left at that $121.80 plus whatever their COLA amount was. So some people's premium was even lower than that because they had been held harmless in prior years. This year, the Social Security COLA was 1.6%. So while the B premium went up by $9.10, this means that for most people, the COLA more than covered the increase in premiums. So a few people did see a little bit of a cost of living adjustment. Some people didn't see it at all, but some people did. So just understanding that when your Medicare premium goes up, Social Security, if their cost of living adjustment doesn't cover that, they're not going to eat into your Social Security check beyond that. So the IRMA, the income related monthly adjustment amount. The issue that will be affecting more people is this IRMA. It's applied to your Medicare premiums. The extra amount of premium you must pay if your modified adjusted gross income exceeds certain thresholds, and we'll look at those thresholds here shortly. Starting this year, the thresholds are adjusted for inflation. They weren't previously, but they are now. The first threshold is $87,000 if you're single or married filing separately, and that's up from $85,000 last year. For married couples, that threshold is $174,000, and that's up from $170,000 last year. Your premium each year is based on the tax return you filed 2 years prior. So if you're on Medicare, your 2020 premium is based on the income you reported in 2018. But if your income has changed due to a specific life-changing event, maybe you retired, you can appeal it. In other words, if you reported high income in 2018 and you have since retired, you can appeal the higher premium. You need to note that a one-time capital gain is not grounds for an appeal. So if your 2018 tax return shows high income because you sold an asset in that year, you're going to have to pay the higher premium in 2020. But if your income has gone back down in 2019, your 2021 premium will be lower. So we're going to talk a little bit about those income thresholds a little bit more here. So here's an example of the thresholds. So if you're under 87,000, or if you're married and your income is under this 174,000, you'll pay the regular Part B monthly premium of $144.60. There's not going to be an income related adjustment. Your Part D premium is going to vary, but if you pick a plan that charges an average minimum, you're looking at about $40 a month for a total of $184.60 each month that you would be paying for Parts B and D on average here. Now, if your income is over that $87,000, then you're going to pay an income related adjustment on top of the base premium. So this is an example. If you're over, you have your $144.60 that you need to pay plus this $57.80 because you're over the $87,000 threshold. If you're between that $87,000 and $109,000, then you're going to see this bump up in your Medicare premium that you have to pay of $57.80. And it does the same thing for Part D. There's an increase there of $12.20. So in this next bracket, you're going to be paying about $254.60 for Parts B and D because you're over these thresholds here. And as you move down the thresholds and you're making more and more and more, your premiums are increasing more and more and more. So just a reminder, your tax return from 2 years ago is used to determine this income related adjustment. So important for planning wise, if you know in 2 years I'm going to be applying for Medicare, to do some preparation in that 2 years before if you can. Keep in mind that the premiums shown here do not include premiums for Medicare Advantage or Medicare supplement plans. This is Part B and Part D only. And if you're a couple, you need to double these amounts because these amounts are per person here. All right, I'm going to pass it back to Jeff.
Rachel, did you want to do that poll question? I think I skipped it from earlier.
Let's okay, so let's launch this for you. We've got another poll question for you popping up here. Do you know what the Oregon birthday rule is? Give you another second or two. Okay, I'm going to close it out and share. Jeff, can you see the results?
Yes, I see the results. So the reason for the Oregon birthday rule is for switching Medicare supplemental plans. So for example, if you had a Plan G supplemental plan, what they do is they raise your rates on your birthday because you're a year older each year. So they allow you to keep the same or switch to a lesser plan within the same company or within another company so that you don't have to pay that higher rate and are stuck with that plan for a full year. So that's just in Oregon. A couple other states have it, but they call that the Oregon birthday rule, and you have 30 days, basically your birth month, to make that change. All right, so now let's just go back to the basics, and we're going to get in the nitty-gritty of deciding between what makes sense between the original Medicare, Parts A and B, with a prescription drug program or talk about the advantages and disadvantages of Med Advantage plans. So this is usually the big decision you have to make when you pick between the two plans. So again, let's just review. Original Medicare is Part A, the hospital, and Part B, all the doctors and everything else basically except for prescriptions. Part D stands for drugs for prescriptions. And remember that if you don't join when you're eligible for Part A and B with a prescription drug program, there's a penalty of 1% of the average premium. So if Rachel had mentioned Part D, say $40 nationwide, that's 1% of $40 every month that's added up and added up until you join, whether it's 1 month or 10 years that you join and start with the prescription drug program. So now we're going to switch over to Med Advantage, the next screen, Med Advantage and Original Medicare, and just compare everything. So we're just going to review again with a Medicare Advantage, Original Medicare Parts A and B, what many people do, because, for example, under the medical portion, only 80% is generally covered, so that leaves 20% uncovered. So what a Medicare supplemental plan, or what they call a Medigap plan, on there on the left, I'm just going down column on the left-hand side of the screen, it picks up the gaps, and there's different plans that pick up all the gaps, part of the gaps. I'm just going to talk about Plan G, for example. Plan G covers all the gaps except for $198, I believe, I'm getting that number right, per year. So it is giving you almost 100% coverage on all the medical expenses that are covered by Medicare with your hospital and your medical. So with Parts A and B, it just covers that gap. And then, as we talked about, prescription drug programs are separate and must be purchased from private companies, and that we would do the research and decide which company works the best according to what prescriptions you're taking, and do that research. So many people have heard of Med Advantage plans. So the difference with a Med Advantage plan is the federal government tells the insurance company they have to cover everything that the government covers on Original Medicare, but they can also give you extra benefits, and also they're able to reduce your premium. So, for example, when I was talking about a Med Sup program on the left, the typical program with the drug program included is under $200, probably around $180, $190 a month, if you wanted to go that route. That allows you to go to any doctor that takes Medicare. So what happens with Med Advantage plans is they cover the same benefits, but you are stuck to a smaller network of doctors typically. It's a closed network. They turn it into HMO in most cases. The most popular plans are called zero premium plans, where you have a primary care doctor that has to refer you out to other doctors. So it's sort of like the Kaiser method, where they have an HMO, but they're able to keep your costs down instead of you paying for the supplemental care for $180, $190 a month. The most popular Med Advantage plan is a zero premium plan. So what happens, they call it Plan Part C, where it combines Part A and B under the Med Advantage plan, and then it usually, I always recommend, but you can get it without it, but I usually recommend one that includes Part D, the prescription. So you have it all in through one company, so you don't have to worry about that. You also are able to have co-payments for a lot of doctor's visits. There's more out of pocket with this option, but also you're not paying that $2,400 a year or so for the Medicare supplemental plans. Like I said, the most popular is a zero premium plan, where you're able to combine everything together, and usually there's a company that covers most doctors that you would need to research. There's Providence, there's Legacy Doctors, there's plans that cover OHSU. You would find a plan that covers your doctors, and keep your premiums down. But what happens is there's a max out of pocket of typically around $5,500 with these plans. So compared to the other plan where there's only $198 or $195 deductible that you pay each year. So that's a popular option to keep your rates down. So let's talk about the advantages and disadvantages. So with original Medicare and the supplemental plan, it's administered by the federal government. Some doctors these days are not accepting Medicare, but I've had many clients that said their doctor's stopping with Medicare, but they're covered under a Medicare Advantage plan. So sometimes you will find doctors that take it. But with original Medicare, you can see any doctor. You don't need a referral. Less out of pocket, as we talked about, but more expensive. And then you have to have a separate D plan, prescription plan and you can change that plan year after year if you need to. With a Medicare Advantage plan, it must cover the same benefits. So you're not losing out on coverage. You are being restricted sometimes, depending on the plan, where you have to see your primary care doctor and get referred out. It's administered by the health plan, and a lot of doctors like that, and that's why they only accept Med Advantage plans. PCPs are required, like I said many times, with the referrals. Zero premium plans are very popular. There are some that are a hybrid, and you can pay maybe $88 a month and be able to go out of network to see a certain doctor that doesn't seem to be in the plan that you want. So there's a lot of options, and that's the kind of thing we would discuss when going over your choices. And I always include a Part D prescription plan with a Med Advantage plan. You want that included. And then what's nice about the Med Advantage plans a lot of people like is it covers things that Medicare, original Medicare does not cover, such as some dental coverage, naturopathic, acupuncture, chiropractic. It just depends on what you like. The important thing to note is it's harder to go back to original Medicare if you do switch to Med Advantage plan, because they can check your health if you were to try to revert back. So there's a possibility you would not get the plan that you wanted or be accepted. But the advantage to Medicare Advantage plans is that you are able to switch every year. So you really can't make a mistake if you pick one plan and it doesn't work exactly right. During those enrollment periods that we talked about, you can switch to a different plan or switch in the same company or switch to a whole different company, especially if your needs change. So I know that's a lot of information. Be happy to answer any questions.
It is a lot of information. Thanks, Jeff. One of the best things about working with Jeff, you don't charge to help people figure out what's best for them. Is that right?
No, not at all. All companies, every single company I work for, it's all commission basis. So just want to make sure that my clients are happy and for the long term.
Great. So I'm sure all of your minds are spinning at this point, but I think the biggest takeaway is meet with Jeff, talk to him about what it is that you feel like you need. He can go over your options and help you choose the right plan for you. And I think that that's important, right? Having someone that you can talk to. You get all the flyers in the mail, they're confusing, you aren't sure exactly what you should be doing. He's fantastic about going over all the options, and there's no cost to you, so it's a wonderful benefit. At the end of today's webinar, which we're going to wrap up here, there's going to be a survey that pops up, and there's going to be an option for you to let us know if you would like Jeff to reach out to you for a complimentary Medicare consultation, and he'll give you a ring and go over your questions and go from there. I recommend taking advantage of that. He's fantastic. We're hoping that today showed you that you can and absolutely should be creating a strategy around your income in retirement, but your plans for Medicare. And so my part is really, how can you get the most out of your Social Security? Where should you be pulling income from in retirement? Do you have an appropriate balance of pre-tax versus post-tax so that you can keep your taxation low? So along with Jeff's consultation, I offer a consultation just to talk about income planning in retirement and helping you strategize. So if you're interested in chatting a little bit about your personal retirement plan and what you can do to prepare, there will be an option for you to let us know that. So we encourage you to take some time to complete the survey at the end. It's really helpful for us too. It's going to ask you, are there other topics that you want us to speak on? Is there any input that you want to share with us about the webinars? We value your input. We're trying to do these weekly, and so trying to bring relevant information to you all.